Hey guys, alright, so in my last video, which was all about Owncloud, and it was basically just like a tutorial for, or not necessarily a tutorial so much as a walkthrough or a tour of an Owncloud server, and in it I demonstrated some Office software that was compiled and running on it. And it took me a very, very long time and a lot of effort and energy and work to figure out how to install and configure and set that software up. So I thought it would be very cool and nice to create a video that would demonstrate the process of building that software for you. Let's take a look at that right now. So this operating system here is Debian Jessie. It is stock, there's no modifications, and it's running in a virtual machine. And so we're going to use this to do the installation process. The GUI is here just to make it a little prettier for you so that you can see kind of how to do it. And under normal circumstances it would be done with only the command line in order to save resources. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is pop open a terminal. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to blow this up. There we go. Alright, there we go. So now you should be able to see that really well in the video, hopefully. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cd to the op directory. Alright, and in here we're going to go ahead and we're going to start by compiling LibreOffice. That's the first thing we have to do. Now when I say compile LibreOffice, I don't mean go install the binaries for your distribution, those sudo apt-get install LibreOffice. That's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking about going out and getting the binaries from LibreOffice's website and just saying, okay, you know, whatever. Because the official instructions say you need compiled source code. Well, binaries should theoretically meet that qualification, but they don't. You actually have to compile this yourself. I don't really understand why that is, but you do. I tried it every way I could think to do it without having to compile it, but you do. So be prepared for a long, arduous process of compiling. It's going to take a couple of hours. The good news is it's not really that difficult. There's only a few steps. The steps just take a while. So if you have LibreOffice compiled on your, or if you have like a virtual machine or something and you're doing this with a virtual machine, you might want to consider building like beefing the virtual machine up, giving it a lot of processing power and a lot of RAM in order to compile faster. You may be able to shave some, you know, some time off of that. But generally speaking, it's going to take about an hour and a half at the very least, and that's if you got a pretty beefy system, I think. But like I said, it's not really that bad. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go sudo apt-get install git, and we also need sudo apt-get install build dep apt-get build dep LibreOffice, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and elevate. That should be fine. Say yes. Okay. Good deal. This up here was the first command. This threw me off. This is git. So this is where we're installing the git software. But as you can see, I've anded two commands together here. So the second command is this guy. And you can see it pulling in all the devs right here, and etc. and so forth. So it's quite a lot of packages. So before you just hit enter blindly here, let me make it clear that you do not need to build this on your actual Owncloud server. If you want your Owncloud server and your LibreOffice server to be two different systems, they totally can be. Now, I don't know about runtime dependencies. The server that I built it on is the server that it's running on. So for runtime dependencies, I'm not sure if you can build this and then just move it to another system and have everything be okay. I think so, but I'm not sure. The other good bit is, once you're done compiling the source code, you do not actually have to install anything. It does not require you to install the LibreOffice stuff to your system anywhere. You just have to leave it in the directory that it's in, and you're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and allow that to install, and I may speed this up just to make things a little quicker so that we don't have to sit here and watch a bunch of installation going on. Okay, so that took a little bit of doing, took a little while to complete, but hopefully if you've got everything sort of figured out, and it should all be looking pretty good, and we should be at this point now where we've got all that done. Hopefully that's the case. What we're going to do now is just make some directories. Actually, we're just going to make one directory, so mkdir. I might need a sudo on that. I think this is technically owned by root. mkdir, we call it LibreOffice, okay? And then we're going to and that. So and then we're going to cd to LibreOffice. So we should be in that directory now. All right, at this point, we are just going to clone our git. So our git repository for our LibreOffice anyway. So it's going to be git clone git //anongit dot freedesktop.org /LibreOffice/or, like so, and press enter. Oop. Say please. Yeah, we're in ops now. So one thing we might want to do when we're done with this, so we don't have to compile as root, because technically we shouldn't be doing all these commands as root. I just don't care that much because I'm in a VM. But what we're going to do is we're going to take ownership of the directories, and that should fix that. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so you don't have to watch this thing download all this stuff, and yeah, so just you pause along with me and resume when you are caught up. All right. So as you can see now, I've got everything downloaded, and we can take a look at our opt directory now. Let's ls this guy. You'll see a lost and found in here for me. You might not have this. I ended up running out of storage for this because I mounted a really low hard disk, so I had to add a second hard disk with about 10 gigs of extra storage on it so I could hold all my source code and everything. This guy's probably about 2.5 gigs, somewhere in there. So yeah, that's just because it's a mounted drive now instead of being just opt as usual. So what we're going to do is we're going to chown this guy. And in my case, I'm going to chown it to joe.joe, just because that's my name and that's what I'm doing. So this will make it so that I own everything inside that LibreOffice directory and down. And that will take just a little bit of time, not too bad. Oh, wait, sorry. Gotta sudo that guy. Alright. Yeah. Don't forget to say please when you're chowning. Alright, so now if we look at ls-tag-l, we should see we have everything here owned by Joe. If we cd into opt, or into LibreOffice anyway, you'll see you've got a core directory, and that's what the git clone actually put. So when we did our git clone, we were actually already in the LibreOffice directory. We did our git clone, that created the core. Now that we've chowned everything beneath there, you should see that that has ownership of whatever user you've given it, in my case JoJo, for user and group. If I cd into core, you can see all the source code in here, and if I ls-tag-l, every single file should have this ownership. Okay. So it looks like we are in order now. Okay, so if everything is good, you're ready to start compiling this thing now. So let's go ahead and begin. You can start with /auto gen.sh tac without tac help tac without tac my spell tac dicts. Now I don't know what those two switches are about. I just got this from a guide that I used on compiling LibreOffice, and it worked. So feel free to experiment However, note, this worked for me, and this process will take a very long time. So if you experiment, you could be in it for, 5 hours rather than just 3.5. All right. So once you run that, it will begin, hopefully, doing stuff. And now that we've ch-owned everything, it shouldn't need us to do anything else other than that. As far as sudo or anything like that, that should no longer be necessary, which you should really never compile code as root anyway. I'm sort of against that, but, that is what you should be seeing, a whole lot of checks. Basically what it's doing right now is just going through and checking everything, and it looks like we've got an error because it couldn't find this function, curve5 sendoff. Alright, so what we got to do is sudo apps-get install krb live krb. Let's do this apt cache. And should have curve dev. This is probably what we need right here. So let's copy this and we'll just sudo apt-get install live curve5 dev like that. And hopefully it'll just push straight through. This should be quick. There it goes. All right, now we'll rerun this command. And hopefully all will be well. If you get any more library errors, which you shouldn't, then just repeat that process. Look at what the library is, look for a dev that kind of matches what it says, and you should be good to go. There really shouldn't be any more, though. There's a couple of surprise libraries that the guides didn't really tell me about in a lot of cases, and so I tried to remember what they all were so that I could, kind of give them to you beforehand, but in many cases, I mean, I forgot. I've only compiled it once successfully, so... Yep, there we go. Okay, so you can see right here that we have a successful compilation. So what we're going to do is basically follow those instructions. We're just going to do make and then make check. Now, this is the point where it's going to be a long process. So, once you run make, it's going to take like 3 hours, 1 to 3 hours, somewhere in there, I think. I'm not really 100% sure. I didn't time it, and it's a variable based on your CPU and your RAM and your system. But it will take a while. So, what I recommend you do is, if, like in my case, I'm on this system, so if this system goes into, so if this system screensaver pops up or whatever, it's not going to be a big deal as long as it doesn't go to low power standby and end the session. So make sure it's not going to do that. It shouldn't, but just make sure. If you're on a session where you're SSH'd in, you're going to want to make sure that your SSH session is prefaced by a no hup and an and. So you're going to want to run the command sort of like this. No hup, make, and. What this will do is it will create a detached process that will complete this. But it'll make it so it's harder to view, so it'll create a nohup.out file. You're going to want to tail-f that nohup.out to watch it. Also note that you can also use the screen command to achieve the same effect. And in fact, I think the screen command is even a little better because you can reattach to the session and if it asks you questions, you can actually answer them. I don't think make does, like, at all ever. So you're probably fine just with the nohup, but just for reference, that's what you're going to want to do. After you get done with your make, you're going to want to run make check. These two commands should succeed. They'll take forever, but they should succeed. I'm not actually going to bother compiling that because it takes a very long time, and I've already done it once, and it's not. I don't want to. It's just too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to this bit. So go back up to the opt directory, and here we're going to make we're going to first of all git clone another file. So we're going to do git clone https:// github.com/. github.com/Libre, it's a capital Libre, office/online.git, like so. And we're going to want to sudo that because we didn't actually own the opt directory. Okay, that should give us everything we need in there. So now we should have this online folder, so it's seeding into online. Okay, we'll have loleaflet, loolwsd, a readme, and a scripts. Readme and scripts are basically pointless. Don't worry about them. We're more interested in loolwsd and loleaflet. Now what I did is I actually went like this, and I did mv online lo star and then dot. Oop. Gotta say please. And what that'll do is it'll move those loolwsd and loleaflet out of there. So then you can just rm-r online. Probably have to sudo that too because, you know, reasons. And if you're on Red Hat, you may have to stick an F in there. Haven't tried it on that. These instructions are for Debian Jessie only. Okay. Anyway, so let's go ahead and chown these guys the same way we did everything else. So tag r lul, or actually in this case joe.joe lul wsd loleaflet, like so, and say please, say please. All right, now yes, I could have put a star in there instead of those two folders, and it would have chowned everything in the directory. I could have just chowned everything below opt. The reason I did not is, in this case, yes, it's a test server and there's nothing else in there, but in some people's cases there may be other things in the opt directory, so I'm showing you this way of doing it just to be safe, to make sure you don't chown and ruin the permissions on anything else you may have in opt. But this will get you ls-tac-l, everything owned by your user for compilation purposes. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cd into loolwsd, boom, just like so. Okay. Now that we're up to this point, what we're going to do is we're going to install some more compilation library stuff. So sudo apt-tac-git install libpng 12-tac-0 libpng 12-tac-dev lib pcap 0.8 lib pcap 0.8 tac-dev lib cunit 1 lib cunit 1 tac-dev, and that should do it. We're just going to install these applications and development libraries, and hopefully that won't take too long. And then we're going to have to go, I'm going to go ahead and do this while this is installing, so we save some time on both our efforts here. So we're just going to bring up a web browser, and I'll blow that up. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to, let's see, it is https://www.collaboroaffice.com, collaborooffice.com, I think, apt-tac-poco. Alright. You should get this. You're going to want to download every single one of these files onto your system. And this is a repository, so technically you can add it, and if you go to the GitHub LibreOffice online tree master loolwsd, it will show you that repository. It's the same place we cloned from, basically. And I'll probably put a link to that in the description as well. Anyway, but the thing is, when I add that repository, I get a failure. It will not install anything from it because of the key or something being out of date, and I can't quite figure out how to get that fixed. I've tried messing with everything, and I can't seem to get it. So I just ended up downloading every one of these debs, and just creating a simple folder called lipoco.deb containing, or lipoco containing all these debs, and then I installed them with the dpackage tac-i star.deb command once I cd'd into the directory. So that is what you need to do there. I'm not actually going to bother getting them though. So once you've done that, you need to, okay, you've already installed them, so let's say you download all those things into your home directory under downloads, right? So let's say you have a folder called lipoco downloads. So you're just going to go dpkg tac-i tilde for home, or you can do /home /username, whichever your preference. And then let's say it's in downloads, and then lipoco, like so, /star.deb. That's what you need to do. Something like that. Just make it for your situation, and then that will install all the deb packages in that lipoco that you downloaded. Otherwise, if you manage to get the repository to work, sudo apt-get install lipoco. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is all right, we're already in this directory. We need to be in the loolwsd directory, so always pay attention to what directory we are in. If you're in a shell that doesn't show you that, pwd will show you where you're at. Pwd for working directory. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to run libtools, and if you get a command not found, it is because you don't have libtools, so sudo apt-get install libtool. All right, now run libtools again, and now we should get some functionality there. Okay, next we're going to want to run AC local, and this should be relatively quick and painless, hopefully. Yes, it is. Okay, now we're going to want to run auto make tac add tac missing. You will get one error, I think, usually. Yep, okay. This error here can be safely ignored. It will be fixed by running auto header. If you want, you can even run the auto make add missing again, and then auto header again, and you'll note that there were no errors this time. Okay, so at this point you can run auto reconf, and this should generate our .configure script. If you want to know, just kind of an FYI, where these are coming from, the loolwsd GitHub site has most of these instructions on there. There's a couple of libraries that are missing from the instructions, such as getting libtools, and also the CP unit test library is also missing from their instructions. So, as of this video being posted, so it doesn't work, at least not without you figuring those things out on your own. Configure tac enable, enable tac silent, tac rules, tac width, tac low kit, tac path, and that's going to equal opt loolwsd bundled include. That's the exact path you're going to want if you followed my instructions to this point. Okay? Otherwise, if you've adjusted things, then you're going to have to adjust that path accordingly, of course. But hopefully you've been following along. So, width, low path. Now this is the path to your LibreOffice. And if you've compiled it correctly, it will be in opt LibreOffice core instdir. Exactly that path. Make sure you know that if you've put any casing in there or something, like a capital L and a capital O, you adjust accordingly, but that is the path it should be in. And then you're going to want to run enable tac debug. Okay, and you have used the libpoco deb, so it knows where that is. You don't have to do anything special. If you compiled libpoco yourself, which if you followed this guide you shouldn't have, but if you did, then you'll have to give it the switch for that, and that can be found on the loolwsd hub GitHub site. So I will post a link to that site in the description of the video. Anyway, you're going to run that command. I'm not going to. Why? It will fail for me. Why? Because I did not grab the libpocos, I did not compile LibreOffice, and the only part of this that's even remotely right in my case right now is this lokit path, because that comes with the loolwsd package, as you can see here. But that is the command you should run. Once you've run that command, and you can pause this video until that command executes because it will take a little while to do, you're going to run make, simply make. And then after that point, it should compile correctly. Everything should be good. Hopefully I haven't left a library out in this video. If I do, I will post it in the description if somebody points it out. Alright. Once you run make, which actually I'll leave that so that you can see it. Now we're going to work on loleaflet, because after this point you should have a functional loolwsd. However, if you try to start it right now, it's not going to work. There's a couple of reasons why, and I'll show you. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to cd back out of this, and we're going to go to opt loleaflet. Just so you know, loolwsd, a little bit of history here, LibreOffice Online WebSocket Daemon, I believe is what that stands for. And that's basically like it turns LibreOffice into a server that listens. Loleaflet is actually what's going to generate the text, the image for your document. That's actually responsible for displaying your document, I believe. And the LibreOffice components basically is you need that because that's what the loolwsd and loleaflet is reutilizing code from that in order to expose it to the web for your Owncloud instance. So that's how all that's working together. So that's why all three of these are necessary. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go sudo apt-get install npm and node JS-tac legacy. That's what's important. The instructions under loleaflet, as of this video, do not tell you to do this, so pay attention and do this. Otherwise, you will not be successful in compiling this. And I'm just going to let that roll for a second. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this guy here. So to finish out your loleaflet install, you're going to want to run npm install tacg jake. Alright, I'm thinking this is a say please issue, so let's do sudo. Yep, that's what it was. Okay. So that should be good. Now at this point, all we have to do is run make. And you can ignore all these warns. It'll work regardless. All right, and we're back. So that's it. At this point, if you've done everything right, you've got everything compiled, you're good to go. But there are some more sort of additional steps that you will need to do before this thing will run correctly. The first of them is you're probably going to want to create a new user. So for the running, the purposes of running this thing. So I'm just going to do it with user, sudo user add. We call it loolwsd. That'll be our username. That's it. That's good enough for me. Elevate to do it. There we go. So now we should have the new user loolwsd. All right. Now we're going to chown those directories we chowned prior, and we're just going to r, and we're going to make them loolwsd dot loolwsd, and we're going to do loolwsd. That'll be our directory. We're in. Okay, so let's just do opt loolwsd like so. Oop. Gotta say please. All right. Hello. loleaflet and LibreOffice. Done. Okay. CD, actually, yeah, let's CD to opt. Actually, you know what? We need to CD to Etsy because we need to talk about the certs. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to make a directory. We're going to call it loolwsd. Okay. Sorry. All right. So now what we need to do is we're going to create our certificates for the server to run with. Now, here's the thing. I used legitimate certs, so that's what you need to do, hopefully. If you can't use legitimate certs, you can get snake oil certs probably, or you can just create your own self-signed certs. That's a little bit outside of the scope of this thing, but you're going to need to basically use the OpenSSL commands, probably create yourself a certificate authority so you can get the CA cert. But eventually what you're going to want to end up with is 3 certificates, the first of which will be ca-tag-chain.cert.pem. This will be your certificate for your, this will be your certificate chain. So this is the certificate for the certificate authority that you're getting the certs from. That's why you'll need a certificate authority to generate these, because you'll need that cert. Next, you'll want to have a file called, just touch it, cert.pem. That's your public cert. And it will be called cert.pem, I guess. That's really all I know to say about it. It's your public cert, right? And then you're going to want one called key.pem. Okay? And that one is your private key. If your private key is encrypted, you're going to want to run open SSL RSA in key.pem out key.pem. Right? And if you've done everything right, it will prompt you for your password for key.pem. And this will overwrite key.pem with the decrypted version. So you may actually want to change the file name of this guy before you do it. So maybe make it key inc. Just move it to that before you do it so that you have both. Either way, the final product needs to be called key.pem. And the reason why is because that is what loolwsd will look for. Can you change this? Yes, you can. There's a way to change it. It's in one of the config files inside of loolwsd. There's another little tidbit that you need to know, which is go to opt loolwsd. If you try to run this right now, you're going to get an error. Let's see if I can remember where this guy is. Ah, that's it. loolwsd xml in. I think that's it. Yes, this is it. This is it. Okay, we're looking for, what are we looking for? Desk. Here we go. Okay, whoopee. This is what we need. Okay. So right here, we basically, all right. So if your system is running this on the same system that is running Owncloud, in other words, you're going to be accessing Owncloud's loolwsd socket hosted on itself using the local host, then you're going to want to keep it just like this. If, however, you're running it on another server, you're going to want to add a new line. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this guy here, and we're going to copy it, okay? Just like so. And then we're going to, I guess, do insert, and then we'll just paste us a new line, okay? And then here, for this host, we're just going to do office.example.com. Sure, why not? Okay, so in this case, I would be hosting my file, or my loolwsd, from a server called office.example.com, right? That's going to be the important bit. Also, coincidentally, this is where you tell it about your SSL settings, right here, right? So these are, if you wanted to change those file names, you could do so right here. I did not build those files myself. Like I said, I got them from a certificate authority that I have, so I already had them generated. So that's unfortunately a little bit outside the scope of the video. Hopefully I've brought you very, very, very close to making this work properly, though, at this point. You know, but building a certificate authority and generating certs is just a little bit more than I want to try to accomplish in one night, I think. This is my second video that I've made tonight, so I think at this point I'm going to wrap it up. But that is all you need to do there, and at this point you should be good to go. So the last thing we need to do is actually run this thing. And so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do sudo tacu loolwsd no hup make run ampersand, right? And that's going to make it so that you can detach from the session, and so you can do your own thing, you know, do whatever you want. It's going to run it as the loolwsd user, not as root and not as your user, which is, in my opinion, as insecure. So you've created a specific service user here. I think there's a way to get this thing to run as a service on the system. I haven't explored it yet, so I'm not going to attempt to tell you how to do it yet. And I would wait to post the video until then, but it'll delay the video, and I don't want to do that. So if it comes down to it, I'll make an updated video, and maybe I'll mess with getting the cert stuff in there too. But this should get you dang close. And if anybody wants to post any comments about this, if there's any hang-ups in the build process, anything like that, please leave a comment. I will definitely post your comments in the description. If enough of them get generated, I will make a video version 2, which will include those fixes, hopefully, after I screen them, of course. And that should be good to go. One final tidbit to this installation process. You are going to want to go to your Owncloud server. You're going to want to go to your apps menu. You're going to want to click on the plus button. You're going to want to find LibreOffice, the app. You're going to want to click on install or enable. And then you will want to go to your right-hand drop-down menu where your little picture icon is, where you go to get to your admin panel. You're going to want to go to your admin panel, and in there on the left-hand side, if you're running a recent version of Owncloud, you'll have a URL or a little link on the left-hand side. You can click for LibreOffice if you've got the app installed and enabled correctly. In there, you will see a little blank space where you can place the URL and port number for your loolwsd server. Okay, if you're hosting your loolwsd on the same system that you're hosting your Owncloud server from, that IP address or that port or that host port is going to be localhost : 9980. Probably prefixed by HTTPS. So HTTPS : localhost : 9980. If you are running it on another server, that is not the server that you are hosting your Owncloud system on, then you are going to want to put HTTPS : that server's name, that server's domain, that server's domain extension, so office.example.com : 9980. If you are running this on a remote server and you want users to access that server from external, an external like internet connection, okay? So let's say you have two servers. One is owncloud.example.com and the other is office.example.com. If you want people to be able to access your loolwsd system so that they can use OpenOffice or LibreOffice or LibreOffice, whichever, LibreOffice in Owncloud, you're going to want to make sure that your office.example.com:9980 is resolvable externally. So, if you have an external DNS system, create a C record in it, or an A record, and point it at office.example.com, or whatever your domain is, right? That's a generic one. You probably shouldn't use that. And then in your router, if you're using the same IP, forward it to 9980, or forward it to, or if you're using multiple IPs, like if you're on Comcast Business Class or something like that, then you can just point it at the IP address that you want. Anyway, the networking at that point is kind of up to you, and it's a little bit outside of the scope of the video. There is one final extra that I want to give you. So, Collabora Office will create an icon in your apps menu. It drove me insane. So, what you're going to want to do, because I find that icon absolutely pointless, is you're going to want to disable that icon if it's something you want to do, if it bugs you. Some people may choose to leave it. I personally couldn't stand the thing because I didn't think it did anything really that the standard interface didn't do. I don't think it adds any value. All it really does is clutter up your menu. So what I did is I went to my Owncloud server. I went to my path to my Owncloud server, that's your default path in Debian. It's var www, probably Owncloud. And then from there, it's apps and then rich documents. That's the path. So something like maybe this. cd var www Owncloud apps. Oh wait, yeah, apps rich documents. And then I think it was app info and then app.php. Right? You're going to want to edit that file. Now, of course, I can't hit enter here and show you that because it doesn't exist on this system. But if that file did exist, it would contain a line that had $C get server or $C. It's like arrows. I think it's like, maybe like that. I think it's actually something like that. So the line will actually look here. Let me actually just. All right. It'll look something like this. $C get navigation manager, and then add navigation. Okay, that line. It'll look basically like that. It should be somewhat close to the top. You're just going to comment it out by sticking 2 slashes in front of it. And then you're going to do save the file. If you're using something like Nano, it's Control-C and then enter. If you're using Vi or Vim, it's :WQ. Save and quit the file. And then at this point, if you refresh your Owncloud, you'll have a working Collabora Office, and it will have no menu entry in your apps menu, and it will look beautiful. So hopefully that all works out for you, and I hope you've learned a lot. I hope this video helps a lot of people out. This is a very frustratingly, annoyingly difficult thing to figure out, so I hope that I have saved a lot of people a lot of headaches, hopefully not created any headaches. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for all the support. I get a lot of great comments on here. People tend to like these videos, I think, so far, so hopefully I will be able to find the time to continue making them. Life can be a little hectic around here, so it takes me a while to get them out, but when I do get them out, I try to put out quality stuff, so hopefully you know, you guys all like it. With that, I guess good night. This is the last video I'm making tonight, so yay. Thank you.